What is up guys, Andy Forrest, the runner here. Welcome back to another video, and today I'm giving you guys my first impressions of the Adidas Takumi Sen 9. So delighted to be able to give you guys my feedback on this lightweight speedster, which has now hit my rotation. Buzzing that Adidas have finally made my size so that I can test out this shoe. So today we're going to be diving into the technical overview and of course my first impressions on how I found it. But before we dive into that, let me give you an idea as to how I tested it out today. So we kick-started with a nice 15-minute warm-up, and then we got into the meat of the session, which was 7.59 miles in total, going through the gears. So really able to give this thing a good test. Kick-started at a nice solid tempo effort, 6 minutes of that with a 90-second jog recovery. Then we cut down the paces even more and we got into the two main sets of the session, which was 3 minutes with a 90-second recovery and then 4 times 90 seconds with 75 seconds recovery, and repeated that. So 3 minutes, 90, 90, 90, 90, 3 minutes, 90, 90, 90, 90. To finish off, we spun the legs with 6 by 30 seconds. At a really fast pace just to finish me off and the session off and really get the whole range of gears into this shoe. And then we wrapped it up with a nice 15-minute cool down. So now you know how I tested it, let's dive into the technical overview. Let's kickstart by saying I went true to size in this shoe. Well, true to size in terms of Adidas, which is always half a size up for me. So I'm normally a UK size 13, this is a 13.5, and that's what fits me for Adidas. But we'll talk about sizing in the first impressions. In my UK size 13.5, it came in at 258 ounces, 258 grams or 9 ounces flat, which is incredible. And we're talking about a 33 to 27 millimeter stack height, 33 in the heel, 27 in the forefoot, 6 millimeter drop. And as always, we'll work away from the heel counter, talk about the ankle collar, tongue, lacing, upper, midsole, and then finish off with the outsole. Nice and simplistic this shoe, so we should be able to whiz through this. Lightweight mesh upper being used all around from heel to toe. A little bit firmer in the back, as in I think the material's a little bit thicker, just to give it a bit of bounce back. But remember, this is a very fast, lightweight shoe, racing style. So there's not going to be too much going on here in terms of structure and support. And that's highlighted here by how flexible it is in the heel counter. The ankle collar area is a funny old cut. It doesn't rub, it's absolutely perfect in terms of how it fits in a way, but this section here is quite long. I did find a little bit of trouble locking the shoe down. I'm sure I'll get used to that, and I'm sure this is probably one of the shoes that might be worth using the extra runner's lace loop at the end. Just because I find this section, yeah, there was a little bit of movement in and around the heel and around the top here, a little bit too much length. I think just cutting that a millimeter or two would probably be ideal. But otherwise, it was comfortable, no issues whatsoever in and around there. Bit of bumper padding to protect the Achilles, but nothing more to say there. The tongue is not gusseted, which means it's not attached medially and laterally. It is just a free moving tongue, but there is a little tag on the middle of the tongue there that you feed the laces through to stop it sliding from left to right. And the lacing is a standard lacing system from bottom all the way up to top. And as I just highlighted, there is the extra loop there, loophole for you to use the runner's knot if you want to. Great lacing, absolutely fine, no issues there. As I just mentioned, lightweight mesh upper all the way around from heel to toe, with some laminations and overlays printed on, or however they stick them on over the top with logos and stuff like that. But otherwise, see straight through it, lovely and breathable, perfect for this time of year. And then we move on to one of my favorite things about the shoe, the Light Strike Pro midsole. Now I do have the Adios Pro 3, the racing shoe, and I love that midsole, and I can't liken it to anything else that I've tried. It very much is unique, and it's great to have it in the training option as well. Slightly lower stack. This thing feels poppy and fast, and that runs throughout the shoe from heel to toe with the energy rods, which you can see are exposed here, just to help you with that fast, snappy toe off. Brilliant, love it. 10 out of 10 for that side of things, cannot complain. Then we have Continental rubber outsole placed on the majority of the outsole, but it's very thin, but very grippy, very tacky. Again, really good with the grip. As I said, I mixed it up with tarmac and light trails today, very runnable trails. And it gripped everything perfectly, felt very secure, very confident. As you can see there, the pattern going from top to bottom, it's placed there in strategic areas with a very similar cutout, you'll notice, than what we see in the Adidas Pro 3 racing shoe. And that is it for the tech. So let's now dive into my first impressions. Excited. You guys have been banging the drum on this shoe for so long. And when I saw Adidas on June the 1st added this colorway with my size, I got it. There were only 2 available. I got one, absolutely over the moon. I believe Tim Gross got the other one. I think they're sold out now, so we were very lucky there. And I've got to say, I'm delighted that I've got it. This, in my eyes, is to replace the Hyperion Max. It's going to be a different type of shoe. It's definitely going to do a different job. I can tell that straight away from this first run, but we'll dive into that more shortly. Very quick disclaimer, this is a shoe I purchased with my own money. Nobody sent it to me. Nobody's paying me to make this video. These are fully my thoughts. As I said, you guys have said all along, this over the Streak Fly. You guys know how much I love the Streak Fly. Great lightweight racing shoe, training shoe, meant to be racing. I use it for training. And again, very similar here. You guys always compare the 2 shoes and say you prefer this one, and I can kind of see why. I've only had one run in it, and I'm not going to make up my mind on which one I prefer at the moment, because I do have so much love for the Streak Fly. But I do love the Adidas Pro 3, and to have a training option is fantastic. The run this morning was brilliant. Let me give you the couple of cons that I found about this shoe, and then I can just wax lyrical about how amazing it is. Number 1, it's narrow. It is a narrow shoe. It reminds me of the Vaporfly version 1 fit. I slide my foot in. I have a wider foot, so for you narrow foot people, this is ideal. I slide my foot in and it feels snug, all right? I'm not gonna lie, the midfoot overhangs a little bit and my outside of my foot does bulge in the material here. It's nothing painful, it's nothing crazy, but what that does mean is I'm aware how stuffing my foot into a shoe that's a little bit narrow can affect biomechanics if you're in that shoe for a long period of time, which is why I wouldn't consider taking the shoe out for any long runs or anything like that. I'll keep them for sessions only. That being said, I had no issues with the width in terms of pains, aches or anything like that, and it was absolutely fantastic. And actually I enjoy a bit of tightness around the top of the foot. The Vaporfly V1 with the Vapor Weave that's one of the reasons why I love it, because it feels secure, locked in and feel kind of streamlined. That's what this shoe makes me feel. The Adidas Pro 3 is definitely wider than this. So it's a narrow shoe. For those of you narrow feet, great stuff. If you have wide feet like me, be aware, it's a little bit, bit of a squeeze. Secondly, sizing. Adidas are the only brand that I ever struggle with sizing. I have to go up to 13.5 with Adidas, and still I find that I've only got half a thumb width at the end. I was concerned because when I used the Adidas Pro 3, I did get a few aches and pains in the first few runs because my feet were so close to the end, going up and down a little bit, feet hitting the end. And I just find that my big toe kind of pops up and rests on the material here a little bit. And that has now gone in the Adidas Pro 3 as I probably stretched the shoe and put more miles in it. I felt a very similar sensation in this, but thankfully I had no issues whatsoever. But again, be aware, sizing is a funny old thing with Adidas. It's the only brand I ever have issues with, and it's not particularly a massive issue, but I like a full thumb width, and I've got half a thumb width here. Those are the only negative things I can say about the shoe. Just wanted to get that out there. I appreciate if you're looking at this shoe, it's 170 quid. It's a lot of money to spend. You've got to be aware of those facts. Other than that, this was a dream, a delight, and wow, what a shoe. Delighted to get it in. So as you guys know, I use a Brooks Hyperion Max a lot, and that covers a wide range of types of runs for me, from long runs, marathon workouts, all the way down to speed workouts. That's now nearly got 400 miles in it. This is going to come in and take the place. I wanted a non-plated option really. I know it's got the energy rods, but I wanted a non-plated option to use on workouts. And so this is going to do the job effectively, but it won't fill the void of the long runs and the big long run workouts. That would be done by the Adios Pro if you're looking in the Adidas lineup. This is now specifically for those Tuesday and Thursday sessions that are in my 10K training plan. But the one standout thing I've got to just keep hammering home with this is Light Strike Pro. This midsole is pretty darn special. I love it. I mean, I really love it. It's unique, it's different, it's got that same spring pop energy return that you get with Zoom X, but without the squish. So you don't feel like you're sinking in as much. And I've got to say, this is fan-flipping-tastic. I totally understand why you guys have been banging that drum. Doing the workout this morning, cutting down the paces, starting at 5:34 per mile in the tempo and finishing that last 30 seconds off in 4:10 per mile pace, which is sort of, I don't know, like mid 2:30 per K pace. Wow, just going through the gears, it handled everything with aplomb. I can't grumble whatsoever. So those are my first impressions. It's wowed me. I'm aware of the sizing, I'm aware of the width. Other than that, this is going to be an incredible tool in my arsenal moving forwards. I can't believe I just said Arsenal as a Spurs fan, but this is going to be a great addition to my running shoe rotation. So there we go. Those are my first thoughts on the Adidas Takumi Sen 9. I'd love to hear if you guys have tried it. And let me know if it's one of your go-to shoes. So many of you have already told me. If you're considering it and you're on the fence, don't hesitate. Just remember the sizing issues, and other than that, add it to your list. It honestly is great. I've heard there's not much difference between the 8 and the 9. It's very minimal. So 8s are on sale. Grab a pair of 8s, try them out. Wow, you won't be disappointed. That's it from me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm buzzing now. You could probably see, absolutely loving the fact that I've got this in my rotation and can finally try more Adidas shoes. If you enjoyed today's video, guys, make sure you give it a like, share it with your friends, and of course subscribe to the channel for weekly running content. I'll see you in the next one. Until then.